we have on the table now is a Gachagua impeachment motion. Just like when we had Ruto must go by the Gen Z, nobody tried to loudly bring in Gachagua. Everybody was silent and they let Ruto carry the cross. Now that it's Gachagua impeachment, do not pull in President Ruto. Let Gachagua carry his cross also. And I might look like I want to defend His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. I still maintain that the decision Raila Amolo Odinga chose to call for dialogue after the Gen Z demonstration was the best thing Kenyans ever had. Because many Kenyans were happy because the Gen Z were moving towards State House, and they looked like they would storm State House, which in other words meant Ruto going home. Ruto going home meant Kenya remaining without a president. Yes, the law allows the deputy president to take over, but if Ruto went home and Gachagua, who was to take over, has these allegations on him, it only meant that the Gen Z were going to go back to the street and remove Gachagua. Or the impeachment motion that we have in front of us could have taken precedence. So what will happen next? Gachagua home. Who is in line? Honorable Wetangula. I don't think Honorable Wetangula has the network to govern this country. He is a great leader. He has served this country for long. The leader of Ford Kenya, one of the oldest political parties in Kenya. But I don't think His Excellency Wetangula has the muscles to run this country. So it will have meant that Kenya was going to remain in the hands of a weak president, or there will be another revolution. But now look at it. We who supported the Gen Z revolution were also worried, because it's known every revolution carried out, the benefits of a revolution, the opportunity to lead after the revolution goes to the people who carry out the revolution. Now, if the Gen Z were to be accorded the space to lead this country, constitutionally, we know very few of them are 35 years and above. So it means we would have started to now look at it. Do we first of all change the constitution so that the young Gen Zs who are more vibrant are able to get space to lead this country? Number two, I've asked several times here, how will a leaderless team of 1 million plus people with no structures, with no guiding constitution, come up with a leader to be president? I think Gen Z will have taken another 10 years just deciding who amongst them will lead if they were to give them the choice. Welcome to Kazuri Media TV, your #1 news channel in Africa, coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are focusing on the state of the nation in Kenya. Our president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, attending a meeting in America, and our deputy president, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, facing an impeachment motion in Kenya. For the first time, I found myself buying a newspaper. You know, since we got into the e-world, my generations, we stopped looking at the papers. But uh, yesterday's paper drew my attention. The headline, beginning of the end. As you can clearly see, beginning of the end. And when I read the headline, I felt like it's not the beginning of the end. It could be the real end of a very, very steamy relationship that we witnessed between the Deputy President and His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, the President. But one amazing thing is that 291 MPs want Gachagua out. 291, which means only 58 MPs in the National Assembly have not shown interest in the motion. Yeah, led by, and it is quite uh, funny that Dindi Nyoro, who many thought will be the deputy president or deputy president in waiting from the mountain, has not appended his signature to the motion. Also, Babu Wino, who is an ODM MP, has not supported the motion. It is not known if they did not support it because they were out of the house or they do not support the motion against the deputy president. But 291 MPs are more than the threshold needed to table the motion in parliament. To table the motion in parliament, we need 171 MPs, 117 MPs to table the motion. Yes, for a vote of no confidence, the team will need at least 233 MPs to pass a vote of no confidence on His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. But at the same time, there's something going on in Kenya that is very, very important. If you all remember, on the 26th, there's a bill that was brought to the Senate, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, number 2, the bill of 2024. This bill is what should have been on the headlines today. Because if you look at the bill, number 1, the bill touches on very sensitive issues to Kenyans. I read it and I was like, okay, this is what Kenyans should be discussing, not discussing yes, impeachment is a huge thing, but we are here discussing Gachagua'S impeachment. We are here discussing Morara's arrest. But there's one thing every Kenyan should know now. And if it passes, it's going to affect Kenyans hugely. And it's already been gazetted. And they're calling for public participation. Already an email has been given out. And every member of the public that wishes to participate should send an email to clerk at senate at parliament.go.ke. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw your attention to this. And as a member of the public or as a Kenyan citizen, you need to participate in this. Because the bill shall provide for the involvement of both National Assembly and the Senate in the approval of an extension of a state of emergency. Kenyans, we all know what a state of an emergency is. You might not know it in Nairobi, but I think also during Corona, we felt something close to what it means to have a state of an emergency. People of Marsabit and those other areas that have had states of emergency will tell you it is something that is very serious, and the bill touching on that should be something that is brought to the attention of citizens. I think it should come on the main news, before even we are told about the Gachagua impeachment. And one thing in the bill that I know will interest Kenyans, the bill is calling for the extension of the term of member of parliament from 5 years to 7 years. Extension of the term of president from 5 years to 7 years. Extension of the term of governor from 5 years to 7 years. Gentlemen, Kenyans were used to the 5 year presidential term, which also provides for each and every elected member. But this bill is calling for the change of an MCA's term from 5 years to 7 years, an MP's term from 5 years to 7 years. And to the shock, I'm shocked. If I didn't buy this newspaper, I would have not known about this because it has not been given the kind of visibility it needs. Somebody might think there's someone sneaking in a bill that is so important to Kenyans, while on the side there's a sideshow: Gachagua impeachment, Morara arrest, or maybe some people also say the Gachagua impeachment and Morara arrest are meant to detract us away from Adani. I think Adani is nothing. It is this that we are being detracted away from. This bill that is in the Senate, this bill that they've called for Kenyans, the public to participate in it. But you realize if the government was serious and if our parliamentarians were serious, this is what they could have been selling on mainstream media, social media, so that Kenyans are aware that there's such a huge constitutional amendment that should be done. This is as big as a referendum. But away from the constitutional amendment, which I'll urge all Kenyans to participate in and give their views in, because of the things that it touches. And if you go to page 5 of the Nation, you'll find it, and you should be able to participate as a Kenyan. But getting back to Gachagua impeachment, they say in 1 to 2 years, 24 months, Gachagua has amassed 5.2 billion Kenya shillings. I wish I was able to count it. That is a lot of that is a lot of kgs in form of money. I think I can only count that in kgs. 5.2 billion, and this is against his well-known annual income of 12 million. Gachagua should be earning 12 million in a year. But in 2 years, he has already amassed 5.2 billion. So if I had my calculator, I'll tell you the excesses, but you can tell for yourself. One is in billions and one is million. So this has maybe infuriated some people. Maybe during his investment, he stepped on the wrong foot. Because some people say Ruto should go when the Gachagua goes. Yes, two wrongs can't cancel a right, won't make it right. To me, I believe kila mwizi akona siku yake. And the day you're caught is the day you're caught. Let somebody else also bring Ruto a sense of motion against the president. And if it has this kind of revelation that we have from Gachagua, then we'll all support it. Because it's believed this 5.2 billion is proceeds of money laundering and corruption. Because how do you explain amassing 5.2 billion shillings in 2 years? And also the investments revolving around Gachagua are run by his two sons and the wife and many other proxies. And I think we need to thank Mutuse, who has brought the essential motion on Gachagua. I heard somebody say Mutuse is a little known MP. I know Mutuse at a personal level, and there's no day I'll be able to describe him as a little known MP. His past can tell you he's a serious Kenyan, a lawyer by profession, an advocate of the High Court, and I met him when he was the chief of staff in Machakos. Mutuse is a serious mobilizer, a serious strategist, and a very, very visionary leader. And for him to do this, I think it's just a plus for him as a leader from Mukambani, whom we can begin to place at the levels of, at a national level. Mutuse plays at a national level. Very few will have known him, but he plays at a national level. But back now to Gachagua'S spending spree. Let me call it a spending spree. It's reported that in November 2023, that is exactly a year after the Kenya Kwanza government came into power, Gachagua bought Crystal Kenya Limited. And he was able to buy this alongside Outspan Hotel in Nyeri County from their Beldia's Safari Hotels for a whooping 535 million shillings. You know, that's like about 50 times his annual revenue of 12 million. The director of Crystal Kenya had his sons. Yeah, his sons are the directors. That is Keith and Kevin. Those are the directors of Crystal Kenya. Mr. Gachagua also, through his proxies, it's claimed, acquired Olive Gardens and Queensgate Service Apartments in Nairobi. Also, Mr. Gachagua has acquired Vipingo Beach Resort in Kilifi. This is a heritage resort. All this happening within 2 years, yeah? He's also acquired parcels of land, 40 acres in Kakuret. And the same big boy. Now, because I think when you're dealing with this kind of monies, you can't fall short of calling you a big boy. I might have to read this directly to you. Because Kenyans must know, why is Mutuse sponsoring a motion to impeach His Excellency Gachagua? The things that have happened are amazing. The companies that have been paid from the office of the deputy president, like to refurbish and renovate his house in Karen, 55.5 million shillings. When Kenyans are going hungry, the deputy president is renovating his Karen home at a tune of 55.5 million shillings. And in October 2022, a man identified as Bhavika Nathalia Hirani was added as a director in one of these companies associated with Gachagua. It's called Agrobrick Investment Limited. And it's a building and construction company. The company has 2 directors, one of Kenyan Indian descent and a non-Kenyan who operates a bank in Syndiat Bank. And can you believe, in January 2023, the company account received a transfer of 47 million from the office of deputy president. You know, 47 million. That was payment for the current house, interim payment. And this came after signing of an agreement letter by Bhavika. There was a 45 million transfer to a related entity identified as Giyani Enterprises Limited, whose account had been dormant for around 9 months before receiving the payment from the deputy's office. The other listed company is Lusana Events Limited, that has 2 directors and operate 2 bank accounts at the CBM Bank between January 1st and July 11th, 2024. The company received 100.2 million shillings from the Office of Deputy President. These are hundreds of millions being paid to companies that are related to the Deputy President in one way or the other. It was the payment of 31.6 million to the company by Gachagua'S office on July 2nd. It was made through 8 different transactions that caught the attention of the legislators. Now, Mutuse, assume you are Mutuse, and you have information to suggest that your deputy president's office is making such kind of transactions. Out of the 100 million paid to Lusana, 22.8 million was withdrawn in cash. As I said, out of the 100 million paid to Lusana, 22.8 million was withdrawn in cash. And some of the amount declared to be used to pay undisclosed beneficiaries. Another 4 million was transferred to a law firm, and 26.9 million was invested in fixed term deposit. Kenya, where are we headed to? The question is, where are we headed to? This one individual that has been able to transact this amount, 5.2 billion from an income of 12 million, an annual income of 12 million. If the legislators decide to impeach you, you should have a very good reason not to be impeached, His Excellency Gachagua. I pity the people from the mountain who feel that their son is being victimized. But they're the same people who suffer. They're the same people who come out and say they support the Gen Z. How can you support the Gen Z and support Gachagua? Maybe if Gachagua is the sponsor of the Gen Z, then you can relate the two. But if Gachagua is not the sponsor of the Gen Z, then Gen Z and Gachagua ni kama pamba na moto. One is calling for a 360-degree turn. And that's why they call for the rejection of the finance bill. And here finance is being used like they're quarry dust. Because I used to listen to some reggae musician, not reggae musician, reggae DJ when I was young in Kisumu. He was playing for Omega, Lena Super Sound, and he was called Uncle Charlie. The rest, may his soul rest in peace, Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie will come and sing, Uncle Charlie, you na pesa kama kokokoto. And promise all the ladies many things that I don't want to say here. But now we are seeing Gachagua they're going to pesa kama kokoto. Because in 2 years, 5.2 billion. And a doctor in Kenya is crying for his salary. A doctor in Kenya just passed on the other day. She could not even afford her basic needs. But here we have a single individual amassing wealth that I don't know where he will use it. You know, where does Gachagua want to go with these billions? Does he even have some senses in him? But I won't dwell in that because we're in a capitalistic system, yeah? And capitalism allows that. But now, the House has also caught up with him. And 291 MPs have said Gachagua must go. Kenyans, ask yourself, what should have been on the headlines? The Constitutional Amendment Bill or Gachagua? Meanwhile, I want you to keep watching because we're bringing you more news. I picked one paper and I think this is the best paper I ever picked in my life. We ask you, if you've not subscribed, liked, kindly do so. And we're going to take a commercial break before we come to you with more news. Meanwhile, you're watching us from Nairobi, Kenya. This is Kazuri Media. Welcome back to Kazuri Media. As we continue with our discussion today, I now want to look at what some people are calling the Raila factor in Gachagua impeachment. Personally, I believe there's no Raila factor in Gachagua'S impeachment. When we listen to His Excellency Gachagua address the nation the other day, he directly blamed the president's aide, whom he blamed for accused of removing him from a WhatsApp group. Some people thought Gachagua was childish, but I think it was serious. Because if you find yourself out in a WhatsApp group, the Kenyan mind is that you are unwanted. And if you can't have the president's diary, then you can't keep up with him. And I support Gachagua. That is a sign that you're unwanted, and he should have taken off very early before this happens. Because if you look into it, His Excellency Gachagua might be forced to resign to avoid a situation is barred from participating in elective politics for the next 10 years. Because the law is very clear. Any public officers that is impeached shall not be allowed to participate in elective politics for 10 years. And Gachagua, being a young man who has serious political ambitions, is now in a crossroads. Does he wait for Parliament to pass the motion and it goes to Senate? And the moment Senate passes it, then Gachagua will not be allowed to participate in elective politics in Kenya. So he has to make that decision very quickly. If he's going to challenge this in Parliament and Senate and win, or if he's going to save his political future by making sure he is not the first deputy president to be impeached after the 2010 constitution was promulgated. We had Vice President Karanja, who was impeached back in the day. But after we got the 2010 constitution, no one has been, no vice president has been impeached. But Gachagua's goose seems cooked. Because if you listen to the Senate Minority Whip, Honorable Ledamo Olekina, who was part of the Kenyan delegation in the USA, where the president is attending the UN General Assembly. Olekina wrote in his X account, and he said it, if I might just quote him directly. It seems your goose is cooked, mister. I hate to break the news to you, Mr. Truthful Man. The decision has been made, waiting vote. The senator for Narok posted that. What will make Olekina Ledama post such a serious thing? And he says, I hate to break the news to you. And I'm now thinking, the decision has been made. And this is somebody who is moving with the people's president and the current Kenya president. Could it be that these two people met and made a decision? Could it be that Honorable Odredama Lekina knows something that we don't know? But I think it's a post that every Kenyan should take seriously, especially Team Gachagua. That is a red flag, And His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga should not be drawn to this. Because I don't think Gachagua served Kenyans well. And I'm not trying to vindicate His Excellency President Ruto. But I believe first things first. What we have on the table now is a Gachagua impeachment motion. Just like when we had Ruto must go by the Gen Z, nobody tried to loudly bring in Gachagua. Everybody was silent and they let Ruto carry the cross. Now that it's Gachagua impeachment, do not pull in President Ruto. Let Gachagua carry his cross also. And I might look like I want to defend His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. I still maintain that the decision Raila Amolo Odinga chose to call for dialogue after the Gen Z demonstration was the best thing Kenyans ever had. Because many Kenyans were happy because the Gen Z were moving towards State House and they looked like they would storm State House, which in other words meant Ruto going home. Ruto going home meant Kenya remaining without a president. Yes, the law allows the deputy president to take over, but if Ruto went home and Gachagua, who was to take over, has these allegations on him, it only meant that the Gen Z were going to go back to the street and remove Gachagua. Or the impeachment motion that we have in front of us could have taken precedence. So what will happen next? Gachagua home. Who is in line? Honorable Wetangula. I don't think Honorable Wetangula has the network to govern this country. He is a great leader. He has served this country for long. The leader of Ford Kenya, one of the oldest political parties in Kenya. But I don't think His Excellency Wetangula has the muscles to run this country. So it will have meant that Kenya was going to remain in the hands of a weak president, or there will be another revolution. But now look at it. We who supported the Gen Z revolution were also worried because it's known every revolution carried out, the benefits of a revolution, the opportunity to lead after the revolution goes to the people who carry out the revolution. Now, if the Gen Z were to be accorded uh, the space to lead this country, constitutionally, we know very few of them are 35 years and above. So it means we would have started to now look at it. Do we first of all change the constitution so that the young Gen Zs who are more vibrant are able to get space to lead this country? Number two, I've asked several times here, how will a leaderless team of 1 million plus people with no structures, with no guiding constitution, come up with a leader to be president? I think Gen Z will have taken another 10 years just deciding who amongst them will lead if they were to give them the chance to lead. So Raila Amolo Odinga made the best decision. And one thing people have never known, and I think I could know because I've I do a lot of things around Raila Amolo Odinga, and I'm a member of the ODM party. Uh, Raila Amolo Odinga has a vision for this country, and he leads demonstrations constitutionally. If you want to know that, look at all the demonstrations the ODM party leader has held. None has gone past 6 p.m. You'll never hear that ODM supporters on the streets are being gotten for spaces to go and sleep in church or somewhere because they were in a demonstration and now they're stranded like we witnessed the other day with the Gen Z. Why does he do that? The Constitution stipulates that all demonstration end at 6 p.m. So even if the police does not recognize the demonstration, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga makes sure that all these demonstrations are within the law. And he gives it the value of a demonstration. The other day, I heard people were so happy that Gen Z stormed parliament. And Raila has not stormed parliament. Raila does not have the intention to storm parliament. This is a law-abiding citizen. He knows very well that demonstrations are for expression. He wants to express himself on behalf of the people of Kenya. So when he comes out there, his main agenda is number one, to communicate to the government what the people want. Once he communicates it to the government, he hopes the government will listen and act, which means there has to be room for that. And if they don't, he always keeps telling them, kama hawatafanya tutafanya nini? Tutarudi kwa barabara. Now, the Gen Zs might have not understood that demonstrations are for expression. Once you express yourself, then you have a legitimate government, or even if it's illegitimate, but it's the government, you have to give it space to work. And after they've done a very good job of expressing themselves with a lot of rage, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga was able to hold President Ruto by the neck and tell him, come here, let's go to the table at Bomas. You sit with the young people of Kenya so that they can express themselves, so that you can give them a solution. The young people have already spoken. What did the Gen Z do? They said they do not want dialogue. So I still do not blame His Excellency Raila Odinga for what is going on, and the people who are talking about the Raila factor and the Gachagua impeachment motion are just taking advantage of the fact that Raila Amolo Odinga is closely associating with President Ruto. And put yourself in Raila's shoe. Your interest first. Oh, yes, Kenya's interest comes first because a chaotic country will have put us in a worse economic situation that even the finance bill would look like some child play. If we were to go into the hands of the military, Kenyans can't take police. How will they take the military? Maybe they think the fact that they're able to dance alongside the military on the streets, it's better. No, 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 no. A military state is worse than a civilian state. That's why you hear in countries like Nigeria and many other countries that have had military generals taking over, they quickly have to go into a civilian rule because a military state is worse than any civilian rule you could ever have. However good it could look, or whatever the relief comes from taking away a civilian president and having a military rule come in, you can never take military rule for to be better than a civilian. So I think Raila was visionary and he knew Kenyans cannot go hungry for 3 days. And I keep on telling people there are counties like Mombasa County that do not produce everything. They rely purely on foodstuff and many things from up country. So such places will really suffer if this country will go into chaos just because the president was removed from State House through a demonstration. So let's not bring in Raila into this issue of Gachagua. And President Ruto also has stayed silent as his allies go for the DP's head. I read his post the other day, and the president was just pleased that the Climate Works Mtaani initiative had begun. And that is what the president posted. He says, so Kenyans, I'll still get you back there. Which one is real? The Gachagua impeachment or the silent Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill that is going to for the second reading in Senate. And because I had this newspaper, as a sportsman, I came to the back. It's amazing. World Cup, here we come. Kenya's junior starlets already arrived in the Dominican Republic for the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Kenya becomes the first, the starlets become the first Kenyan team to participate in a FIFA World Cup. They've gone through a very hard time. We've had cases. We know about the girl who came out in public saying that the coach had threatened the parents to give out 70,000 before she travels, or else she was going to be left out in this chance of a lifetime for every sportsman and woman. As a sportsman, the highest level of participation is either the World Cup or the Olympics. And these young Kenyan ladies have gotten a chance of a lifetime to represent this country in the next 15 days in the Dominican Republic. Currently, the starlets have been training in Spain, where they had a couple of friendlies, and one notable win was against Valencia FC Women. We all know the Valencia team in Spain, and the starlets were able to score hugely, 4-1. The starlets have very good striker like Valerie Nekesa, who also scored in the match. Lindy Atieno. These are young talent from Kenya who, if nurtured, will see us grow much in the game. On the same page, also, we have the AFC Leopards goalie, Opio. Opio played for Gor Mahia, and Opio now accuses a Gor Mahia steward of juju and using juju on him every time he plays. Because the 29-year-old stopper says in all Mashemeji derbies something happens to him. And he says the steward always makes sure that he's walking behind him as they leave the changing room, and he does something to make Opio not perform. Even though the club chairman has refuted that, and he says Opio should focus on his professionalism and play football. He only needs to work hard. But Opio says, no. This steward has been messing him up. If I could just read to you, Opio says, when I played for Gor Mahia, we were close friends, but it's like he's affecting me from the sidelines using black magic. Every time I play in a derby, I feel unusually weak, and it only happens in those games. The other games, Opio says he performs well. But when they play against AFC Leopard, the Gor Mahia steward always does something. And it's put him in very bad sporting books because there are games that people believe that Opio actually gave out to Gor Mahia. Like one time Opio was dispossessed while dribbling the ball in between Gor Mahia players, and it came into as a goal. In June 2022, Opio gifted Gor Mahia the equalizer goal in the Masemeji Derby that marked 59th Madaraka Day celebration. Odhiambo was the beneficiary after Colin Shivachi had given Ingwe the lead. Gor went on with the match through penalties. So Opio says that could have not happened if there was no juju. You know? So that is it on the sporting end. Also on the sporting end, we have last week on Saturday we had a very lucrative tournament, not tournament, but a Legends Cup. This Legends Cup is new, introduced to the Kenya Rugby Union, whereby Kenyan Legends and Uganda Legends play in a home and away match. When we say Legends, we mean players who played before for each country coming up together for a match. And as usual, Kenya won on an aggregate of 69-18, beating their Uganda counterparts. Uh, some years back, it said that the most successful Kenya Cup team, Nondis, who have always sent aside for the veterans tournaments, came up with this. Eddie Omondi and Aoka Gocheo, who are also my counterparts, we play together rugby, came up with this. And now we have a veterans cup, just like we always have the Uganda Kenya Elgons Cup. Now we have a veterans cup that will be held annually. And as we go down this year, Kenya are the champions, and the Kenyan Legends are now focusing on the Dubai Sevens that will be coming up at the end of November in Dubai. And away from that, in the sporting world, Kenya 6 rebound against Kuwait in World Cup qualifiers. Kuwait has come out very hugely in the World Cup qualifiers cricket, and Kenyans are hoping to beat them. Also, the Kenya Golf Union is also looking forward to host the African Golf Confederation. That is a golf event that is held annually. Oh, so that is it on the sporting world. And we want to say keep on watching Kazuri Media. If you're not subscribed or liked, kindly do so that we can continue bringing you news from Kenya, Nairobi. Presenting to you today is Niels Tolbert Achayo. We thank you very much for your audience. And we say Kazuri Media is a place to be, your number one news channel in Africa.